Do you feel like you need a better understanding of Etsy ads? Should you be taking out advertising on all of your listings? How much should you be spending? What are the key differences between Etsy ads and the good old days of promoted listings? Well, stick around, because we're talking to Dave DeNard from AddToCart about all things Etsy ads in this episode of The Jam. What is up? Welcome to The Jam. I am Gordon from Marmalead.
I am Richie from Marmalead.
And today we are here with Dave DeNard from AddToCart. Now, we've talked to Dave before. He's been around for a while, and he's helped a ton of Etsy sellers over the years with their shops and getting things running. He's put out YouTube videos, ebooks, e-courses, all kinds of cool information. Today, we're going to be talking about Etsy ads and how things have changed over the past year or so since it was promoted listings inside of Etsy. Thanks for joining us, Dave.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me. And for anybody that has not watched us speak together, my name is Dave from, like Gordon said, AddToCart on YouTube, as well as the owner of the Etsy shop, Woodland Zen. I make courses and ebooks and videos to help Etsy sellers make more money. So thanks for having me, you guys. Today, I would just like to talk about, Etsy ads in general. It's been about a year now, and the changes were pretty significant. And with those changes come a whole set of new issues and problems. And after about a year now, everybody has been experiencing the same set of issues, and we can talk a lot about those today. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked with you before, as you mentioned. If you want to check out more of Dave, you can find him in our past Etsy jams that we've done together. So what's going on with promoted listings? It seems like things are all over the board. There's all kinds of stuff out there where people are saying, are ads worth it? People that might have been having success with promoted listings as they existed before are now struggling with Etsy ads. What are some of the challenges that you're seeing people facing with the new Etsy ad structure?
Absolutely. Great question. So yeah, the big major changes from promoted listings to Etsy ads were pretty, significant. The biggest one being we have no control over cost per click. So we can't do what was called auto bid or manual bid like we could with promoted listings. So this, of course, takes a lot of power away from us as Etsy sellers in terms of controlling our budget. The only thing we can really control now is what listings are advertised and how much we're willing to spend daily on that. Previously, with promoted listings, because of the control over cost per click, it helped us, regulate how much of our budget was going towards each listing. So now with this new simplified version of Etsy ads, we have to implement different types of strategies in order to control our budget, in order to remain profitable, because that's one of the first, pitfalls that we'll talk about today, is that without this control, it's much easier for Etsy ads to just take your budget if you're not paying attention and just run with it every day in directions that if you're not paying attention, will definitely lose you money. So that's the number one thing is it's just spending too much for Etsy sellers. And the folks that have been setting it and forgetting it have really come into a lot of trouble and pain. When it first came around, I remember people contacting me saying that they haven't touched their ads in like 2 or 3 months since it changed because they didn't know it changed. And that really hurt a lot of people because it resulted in, hundreds of dollars or maybe even thousands, depending on the shop size and your budget size, thousands to $100 lost on each listing sometimes. And so it was devastating in the beginning, but now with it after a year, we've formulated some strategies to control your budget, to profit with your budget, etc. It's not all doom and gloom. The first couple months it was, pretty gloomy out there. And that this is not to say that Etsy ads is perfect either, but there are definitely ways to still succeed with it. So that number one is, just keeping an eye on your dashboard is the number one rule. Always looking at it, making sure nothing is spending more than it should be. That's your number one, surefire way of not wasting all your money.
Yeah, it's easy to look at things and be like, oh man, sales are fantastic. And you can look at the revenue coming in. And then at the end of the month, when you get charged for your Etsy bills and your ad dollars come out of your account, it's like, oh, wait, I didn't make as much as I thought because a big chunk of that went into my ads.
Yeah, and I think another thing that a lot of people are experiencing right now is when they want to increase their daily budget, and make more money, because theoretically, if you're making money and all of your listings are profiting, then of course you're going to want to increase your budget. When a lot of people are experiencing this and doing this, it's resulting in a much higher cost per click because, like I said, we can't control that anymore. So it's resulting in a much higher cost per click, as well as sometimes a drop in views. So my explanation for this is that, when you increase your budget, Etsy wants to go out and find more customers for you. And with any ad algorithm, when you give it more money, it's going to get more, it's going to get more liberal in its targeting, and it's going to expand more so it can find you more customers. That's what it's thinking. That's what the algorithm is thinking theoretically. And on paper it sounds good, or maybe in an algorithm it sounds good, but sometimes it results in these issues where the cost per skyrockets, etc., and it never comes back down, or it never regulates itself out. This was actually massive, massive, widespread problem in the very, very beginning, when they forced us to use Google ads along with the Etsy ads. And that, I think, was the whole kind of like slippery slope into where we are now with Etsy ads, because everybody loved promoted listings and it was great. I had people contact me from that initial webinar that we did together, saying that they, were making thousands of dollars extra just based off of that free cheat sheet we released. So promoted listings was much different, but with Etsy ads, there's these issues that we have to face. So when you increase the budget, like I was saying, sorry, backtracking, when you increase the budget, the algorithm always wants to find new people for you, and that sometimes doesn't regulate itself out because we don't have that cost per click control anymore.
So Dave, what do you have control over now?
So the biggest things that we have control over now is the daily budget and what listings are advertised. That's inside the Etsy ad dashboard. So we have to formulate all of our strategies from those two actions, as well as the other thing that a lot of people don't really think about. And this is what I talk about in the Etsy ads course that we'll be releasing later this month. I'll give you guys some links to share with the Marmalead audience so they can get some more info on that. But the biggest thing that we need to realize is that your SEO is essentially, your targeting. With other ad platforms, for example, Facebook or Pinterest or whatever it may be, a lot of people always think about the targeting. But with Etsy ad, we kind of stop thinking about the whole advertising mindset after the listing is created, and we just kind of focus what's in the Etsy ad dashboard. However, the biggest thing, a big thing to realize, is that your SEO is like your targeting. And when you're putting money behind it, it's really forcing Etsy and the algorithm and customers, everybody, it's forcing you to find out if that SEO is successful, if that SEO is showing if that SEO is putting your product in front of the right people. And you're going to find out if it's the right people or not, because you're going to lose money. But with an organic listing, you can just let it sit and you'll never really know for sure, right? So if you're following the strategies in the Etsy ads course that's coming out, you'll be able to, strategically eliminate the ones that have not worked out for you, and only boost up the ones that have worked for you, because that's the biggest thing with advertising, period. You want to make money. You have to spend money to make money, and you want to make sure that you are making money. Anything you are not making money on, you definitely have to weed out.
And I mean, this is one of the ways of kind of accelerating that process, like you said. An organic listing you put out there and you wait to get results. When you're advertising, you're paying to get more hits on that, more views, more exposure, and you're going to find out a lot quicker if that thing's going to work or not. But like you said, if it's not working right away, there's still things to tweak, but it really quickens that whole cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is another thing, because when you miss a lot of these important concepts, you kind of start getting all these questions that will take you in different directions, right? So this is a big question I get. I just released a video on this on my YouTube channel. This is a big question, is how much should I spend on Etsy ads? And it sounds like a really, really simple question. Yeah. But it's super simple, and the answer is very simple as well. And it's empowering too. You should spend as much as you possibly can on advertising. Period. Whatever your industry is, whatever your business is. Period. You should always spend as much as you possibly can, knowing though that you're making money. Right. You don't want to. When you're asking this question, how much money should I spend on Etsy ads? It's almost like you're coming from a mindset of, am I going to walk into a casino and maybe get my money back, or am I going into, like an office or something that's like very calculated and very, knowing of the results. When you take it from a mindset of how much should I spend on Etsy ads, I don't really know what I'm doing, etc., it's definitely a gamble, and you will definitely, run into issues where you don't know what to do, where when you don't have a strategy in place, you don't know what to do, you fall into pitfalls, you lose money, and you get discouraged. It's easy to get discouraged when money's involved, obviously. And especially with Etsy sellers, because we're creative people, so it's not just like a business. It's not just numbers on paper. A lot of the times with Etsy sellers, since we're creative people, it's also our ego involved. Our ego, our heart, our soul, etc. So it's super, super personal when it comes to selling on Etsy. It's different from like drop shipping or something that you can just run through a million products on. With Etsy sellers, it's normally stuff they made and stuff they've been it was either a hobby for years and then they started selling, etc. So definitely very, very connected to it. This is a really long answer for how much should I spend on Etsy ads. However, yeah. So the simple answer is as much as you possibly can, knowing you will make a profit. And that's what the course is all about. That's what the Etsy Ads Master Secrets course is all about. It's about ensuring that you profit with your Etsy ads, ensuring that it's not a gamble. Because when you approach it strategically and with strategies to eliminate what's not working, to boost up what is, etc., and you approach it in a comprehensive way, it's not a matter of if you will make money. It's a matter of when and how much, how much you're willing to make. Because some people, the sky is the limit. And some people, they only want to craft a certain amount, and that's totally okay. I've had Etsy sellers say, I don't want to make this much money because I have a life outside of this, or this is a side hustle, etc. I've coached clients that have told me I want to make, $30K a month, and this is all I want to do. And we've helped people to get to all of those levels. So you should spend as much as you can on Etsy ads. But that could also sound, kind of, it could sting to hear that, if you haven't had success with Etsy ads in the past. There's definitely a few industries that I would not recommend use Etsy ads. And the only really biggest one is digital downloads, where the products are extremely, extremely low. But I have spoke to people that have profited with Etsy ads with digital downloads. It was a recurrence, but most of the time, because there is no cost per click control, Etsy kind of, it doesn't really work for digital download people. However, it is possible, and that does not mean you should not try, because that's another thing with Etsy ads is a lot of people get scared away from doing Etsy ads because of all of the chatter in the groups, etc., about how it is hard, about how it doesn't work. But you'll never know unless you try yourself, and you'll definitely never know unless you try yourself and implement strategies that have been proven to generate results.
So we talked a little bit about how, ads completely rely on the keywords that are being used on listings. And we also talked about how at some point there's a point of diminishing returns where you could spend, $100 and get the same results from ads as maybe $25, just because of the way that Etsy is trying to reach a larger audience when you feed them more money. So as a seller, if I'm dumping more money into ads and I'm seeing things start to trail off, how do I know if I'm hitting that like threshold of too much money, I'm getting that diminishing returns, or if I need to amp up my keywords on my listing?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And this is something that a lot of sellers fail to do, and this does result in losing money. It's that you need to calculate a few things. First of all, in the Etsy ads dashboard, you can see the budget spent, and the money made. So those two metrics are obviously the most important ones to look at. You want to see if it's making more than it's spending. And if it is, then you can move on to the next point that I'm going to talk about. But if it's not, then you obviously have to turn it off there and look at the statistics for it, because there's Etsy ads gives you statistics, and then there's the organic listing statistics. And you want to compare and contrast both of them to spot any, outliers, to spot any keywords that were bringing you in a lot of traffic. And there's a lot of different situations as well, because if a keyword brought you a lot of traffic, that can mean two different things. It can mean that traffic wasted your money, or that means that traffic is making you a lot of money. It depends on the performance of the ad. So you have to look at those two numbers. Those are the two most important ones, obviously. But let's say it is making just a little bit of money. You need to calculate what is called your cost per conversion, how much money you had to spend to get that customer. Then after that, there's the material costs, the Etsy fees, etc. And after all of that, if you are profiting, it's up to you if you want to keep that ad running. And that's what we talk about in the course, is how to calculate this cost per conversion, etc. How to weigh all your options as well. Is this ad really worth it? Because there are situations where you look at those two numbers, you see that it is making you money, but you don't know if it's making you enough money to continue advertising on that specific listing. And that's when you want to calculate cost per conversion, etc. Because you might be making $5 per sale, and you might be making 10 sales a day. However, that one product that you're profiting $5 on, you might have to spend 2 hours to make. And that would be no fun, to spend 2 hours to make $5 and then to have Etsy take a bunch in fees, etc. So that was a long answer for your question, but I hope that answers it for everybody. And going on from there, in my videos, a lot of you guys watching are likely subscribers on my channel, but if not, we talk about SEO in regards to Etsy ads a lot on my channel, and how it is so important, and how it is like the trigger. And you guys will see me use Marmalead a lot in my SEO, etc. It is the only tool that I use.
I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in to the Jam by Marmalead. Marmalead helps guide you to keywords that real Etsy shoppers are using, so you can get more sales doing what you love. Check out Marmalead in the link in the description, or at marmalead.com.
So the two things you're saying, Dave, that Etsy sellers can control, obviously, are what listings they're advertising for, and then what their daily ad spend is. Are there other things that you recommend sellers do? Do you recommend sellers swap listings in and out to try to spread that dollar amount over more listings? Do you recommend people fuss with the daily ad spend instead of a set it and forget it on a more daily or even hourly basis of tweaking things up incrementally to try to have more control over those? What sort of things would you recommend sellers do to have the most control that they can over their ads?
Absolutely, good question. So that's a common question as well, because a lot of people have this in their head that sometimes they'll turn it on or turn it off every day, every other day, etc. They'll watch it so closely that they'll turn it off. And I don't recommend this. Don't turn it on and off. You have to keep it on. You can change your budget around, etc., but don't turn off your entire campaign. Why? Because the Etsy ads has an algorithm as well. When you turn off your campaign, turning off all your listings, you're essentially losing your ranking in all of the ad spots. So when you remove them all from the ranking, it doesn't matter if your listings are super awesome or not, and they're converting, etc. There's likely somebody right behind you that has a better conversion rate, that has a better click-through rate, etc. And if you turn off all your ads, then theirs will take your spot and might continue to sell very well. And once you do turn your ad campaign back on, you might not get that spot back. So you might lose your spot in line, your ranking, because there might be somebody behind you or trying to pop through and raise up in the rankings that is converting better than yours, that has better SEO, etc. So in terms of competition, you don't want to turn your ad campaign off every other day, etc. You want to keep it on. What you do want to be controlling is what listings are advertised. That's what you want to control, not your entire global setting of your entire budget. So that's one thing you can do to control. Another thing outside of the obvious with which listings are advertised and your daily budget is the things outside of the ads. So again, getting back to basics like the SEO and the thumbnail image. Your click-through rate has such an impact on ranking on Etsy that most people get so tunnel visioned on SEO that they don't think about the click-through rate. I've had listings that just when I change the image, they start doing well with the same SEO. So it goes to show that your click-through rate definitely raises you up because Etsy looks at everything about your listing in your shop. So fiddling with your thumbnail image, the point that I brought up right before this, as well as just always keeping an eye on your ad dashboard and not letting it run wild.
Which makes sense. And I think that's an important point, that Etsy's looking at the big picture, right? They don't just want, excuse me, the ad dollars for clicks. It's not just about bids, right? Because if it's just about bids, they could, that could just keep going up. The person that's willing to pay the most for the promotion there might have the worst possible chance at converting the listing, in which case Etsy's not going to get the sale. And if people come to the site and they see listings that don't convert, they're not going to be a customer and they might not come back. So definitely, they're going to balance those things. I think that's a really important point. It's not just about spend. In fact, I have read on other platforms, and I can't imagine Etsy's is different, that the better your listing is, the lower your cost is, even just for the bid. You're going to win bids at a lower amount because in the grand scheme of things, okay, we're going to take this bid to put you there, but then we're also getting the sale. This is the chance we're going to get a sale from it because we know this listing wins. So now we're getting there. Now you're a repeat customer. Overall, the value of putting a listing there that's actually going to convert is way bigger than taking 20 cents for a view.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge point. That's a really good empowering point to bring up right now, is that if you are getting down on yourself about Etsy ads and the loss of control, etc., a big thing to keep in mind is that Etsy does make money from Etsy ads, yes, but however, they want to make money from Etsy ads and make money from that sale. So they don't want to just take whoever's money, put them on the front page and get 1 million clicks from them. They want to take whoever's selling the most and put those on the front page because they want conversions as well as ad money. So yeah, and that does go to other platforms too. For example, Facebook, they have things in place like that where if your load time on your page is slow, then your cost per click goes up because Facebook wants to show good ads, good websites, and just quality stuff. They don't want somebody outbidding all their competitors and then putting just like a garbage ad right in front of you when you land on it. They want a good experience for the users on the platform as well as the advertisers. And that's one of the ways they do that. So the thing to keep in mind is that Etsy does want to make money from sales, not just ad clicks with Etsy ads. And their system is still set up to do so. So if you have a converting listing, if you have good SEO, etc., then it is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when you will profit with Etsy ads. If you follow the right strategies, if you have a plan in place, but if you shoot in the dark with it, then you will end up falling into a lot of these pitfalls that a lot of sellers experience and that a lot of us have probably heard people talk about in Facebook groups, etc. So what the Etsy Ads Master Secret course offers is, number one, obviously in-depth explanation of advertising concepts that will not only allow you to profit and succeed with Etsy ads, but also on other platforms. A lot of these concepts that a lot of Etsy sellers are learning from me and other sellers when it comes to advertising also apply to other platforms. I just brought in that Facebook example because, a lot of platforms, they differ, but they also want to accomplish the same goal, which is make sales. So another thing that's in the course, of course, is strategies, the actual strategies, what to do if this happens, what to do if that happens, and how to do it. So the strategies to make more money with Etsy ads, and as well as the strategies to prevent losing money with Etsy ads, because you want to make as much money as you can while, you know, eliminating all of the holes in the room that suck up your money. So the course is an extremely, you know, in-depth dive of what to do with your ads, how to profit with them. And if you follow it, like I said before, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you will profit with Etsy ads.
Dave, thanks so much for joining us today. Covered a lot of good ground with this, a lot of good information out there and great tips for sellers. We've been with you a long time. You're a great guy. We've heard from many sellers that they've had a lot of success working with you in the past. So obviously, thank you for joining us again on the Jam today and covering all this great information. If people want to find out more about you, more about your courses, your YouTube channel, where should they go?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys, and I also appreciate the entire Marmalead community. So just check the links in the description, whether this be posted on YouTube or on the Marmalead website. Just check the links associated with this video, and you guys will be able to find my YouTube channel. Sign up for the email list to get notified of the Etsy Ads course, which is being released later in November 2020. So I'll send all the links over, and you guys can find me there.
That's awesome. They will be down below in the description below the video. Again, thanks for joining us, Dave. And for everyone else, we'll see you guys next time on the Jam.